Welcome to Santaroga Surplus. This video is going to be about the Tokarev pistol. The reason we're going to do Tokarevs is that they are in 7.62 by 25 caliber, and they're readily available, and the ammunition is still available and reasonably affordable as we speak in August of 2020. And right now, we've had a pandemic ammo panic, and it hasn't gotten better; it's gotten worse. So I'm a little bit hesitant to say it's going to end next month or after the election or whatever. I don't know. The whole country is arming up right now. It's not just, the 30% of people who care when there's an election or a panic, gun buying panic. It's everybody. This one might last for a little while. In any event, reloadable brass is 35 cents a round. Reloadable brass loaded cartridges. So let's get into the Tokarev. Gonna move the camera. Bear with me, don't get seasick. I think we're doing pretty good. The main thing about this is that I have to make sure that I can keep the parts in the frame when I'm doing the work. That looks pretty good. Alright, this is a Tokarev TTC. This is the Romanian version. We have the Yugoslavian versions off to the side, and we will be talking about those rather extensively over time. I believe that there might be some parts that people have done in the past to try to convert these to 9mm. It's much easier with the M57 Tokarev, the M57 Yugoslavian version of the Tokarev. So I'm not really going to talk about it on this. This is an 8-round pistol. Takes the shorter of the Tokarev magazines. The M57 magazines are longer and they will fit in this, but the converse isn't true. The 8-round magazines will not fit in the M57 Tokarev. The importance to this, the reason I'm talking about magazines, is because the Romanian, Russian, whatever surplus magazines are about $9 if you find them at the right place, $11, $12 otherwise. These, if they're in stock, if Zastava has imported a batch recently, you can get them for about $20 to $30, 30 being a much more normal average, and if they're not in stock, I've seen them go for $50. So be careful about that. They are bulletproof magazines. They are amazingly robust, long-lasting magazines, so I would not worry about having to need 20 of them. But they are also 9-round magazines for the M57, and I would want to have 6, maybe 7. That's where I'm at if I'm going to actually do any competition shooting. If I'm just home defense, just a personal person, I really want 3. I want 3 magazines. That is the minimum that I consider adequate, regardless of round count, for a pistol, for EDC, everyday carry, or home defense, whatever, if I'm actually planning for an emergency. 1 magazine will probably function just fine if you're going to leave it in a desk drawer until the year 2040. Basic Romanian TT. Cycle of operation, okay? Oh, I'm not going to do full cycle of operation. Manual of arms, whatever the words are. This, full cock, pull the trigger. They come with magazine safety. The magazine safety on this one has been removed. Generally speaking, you can only fire with a magazine in. And that's the whole reason their magazine's still on the table, is because I have to deal with that on some of these handguns. I don't usually like to have magazines around the firearm when I'm working, otherwise. Half cock is your military safety. That's the designed military safety for these weapons. There is a manual safety that is included for import purposes. This one has been removed, but the holes have not been plugged. Plugging the holes is not actually that hard. How you feel about that is totally dependent on you. I don't like the safeties. So this one's removed. I have one of the Yugoslavian variants here which has a safety that is still installed. If you're not messing with the gun and you just want to buy it to shoot, the safety's there. I don't use it for carry. I wouldn't advise using it for anything at all, but you can just leave it there. It's not in the way. Full cock, if you want to fire the weapon. Generally, you will carry at half cock, then when you draw, do a full cock. It's really not hard, okay? It's not that hard at all. Last round, slide catch engages. The magazine release is at the traditional spot that we all like. It's not a heel magazine release. The slide catch is easy to operate. These are relatively small pistols in general, and it's pretty easy to get at the controls. Much easier than a 1911. Once again, this one has had the magazine safety removed. To disassemble, make sure you're unloaded, check your breech, check your bolt, check your magazine well, you're unloaded. E-clip on the right hand side, the shooter's right hand side, there's an E-clip. You just have to pop it off of that pin right there. That is your slide release. Now put a little pressure, rearward pressure on the slide, and the slide catch, slide release will slide out, and the barrel will slide out, or the whole slide, barrel, everything. And then that will happen. This is the primary design difference between the Yugoslavian M57 and all of the other TTs in terms of actual operation, field stripping and everything, field stripping operation. There is no link here, okay? The Yugoslavian ones have a link. So these will tend to fly apart if you're not careful when you disassemble. But barrel bushing, all right? Very much like a 1911, barrel bushing, slide it, roll it up, and then the barrel comes out. That's all there is to it. Reverse. If the barrel doesn't come out, it's because this swinging link here is sitting up. All right? It doesn't work that way. Very simple. Slide it in. Put that link up. Bushing. Goes in, rotates. And then you have to try to remember that there's a flat side that goes towards the barrel, and there's a rounded side that goes down on the back of this. And then you have to try to make this actually go in and do the things that it's supposed to do without flying all over the place. Much easier on the Yugoslavian version. And I don't even know if the parts would swap. I've never actually tried. Don't care to right now. Then slide goes back on. Pull it back slightly until you can see through. See your link on the bottom of the barrel, and slide that in. I like to do this with the slide locked back. You're gonna push your E-clip back in place. You're done. It shoots. Everything else I'm going to do with the M57s for a reason. I have different stuff, more accessories for them. Again, you can get custom grips, you can do different sights, but as it is, if you want to shoot it, this is an excellent shooting pistol. It's a really much better if you remove the magazine safety, and that's just one of those things that you have to kind of think about. Can't really advise you on that. Pretty simple operation though. If you want to put rounds downrange, this is the cheapest way to go right now. A lot of the Romanian or Polish, the actual TT Tokarevs are being offered with the dongle, the trigger dongle, the Glock safety, so that you don't have to deal with a manual safety being installed. Alright, this one is Yugoslavian. This one has had nothing done to it. It is Very, very basic. Still has Cosmoline all over it. Finally starting to be able to rack the slide. I haven't soaked this one in grease yet. This has a safety that slides up like that and does not actually block the trigger. It blocks the sear in the, the sear in the rear of the sear engagement lever inside the fire control group. So it doesn't actually block the trigger itself, it blocks the fire control group, which is a better design than some safeties. I don't like the operation of it. It's very clunky, but it's actually not a bad design. Like down, fire. Up, no fire. You can move the trigger quite a lot while it's on safe with the magazine inserted, so it's not completely... You can still have the trigger bar engage the sear engagement lever, which is blocked from moving rearward far enough to release the hammer by the safety. I think I said that right. It's kind of a complicated topic. Pop that down, pull the slide back, slide catch. Same basic idea for disassembly. Put a little tension on, pop that out. Now on this, you have a swinging link guide rod that makes things a little bit easier once you get it out. This thing is covered in grease, so I'm actually having some difficulty. So it has a hinge in the completely metal guide rod here for the recoil spring, and it is captive. So that's actually really cool and a big bonus for maintenance. Everything else is pretty much the same. There's your barrel bushing. There's your barrel. Goes back together the same way. I didn't show you this before. I'm going to show you now. This is your fire control group. On all the Tokarev style pistols, they are just a unit like this. Do not mess with it unless you're getting ready to mess with it and you know what you're doing. This is the sear engagement lever, or sear release, sear lever here. It engages the trigger bar. That is what is prevented from moving rearward by the safety when the safety is up. I'll show you the trigger bar on the other one that does not have a safety in the way. Pretty basic. Reassembly. Put your barrel in, slink up, bushing, rotate the bushing so that you can put this back in. It has that hinged part so you can get it over. Pop it down. Pretty basic. Slide it back so you can see your hole. Safety catch or slide catch in, and pop your E-clip over, and you are ready to insert a magazine, drop the hammer. Again, half cock. Half cock is the way to carry. Let's move on one step. This is an M70A. This is one of the reasons I really like the Yugoslavian pistols. This one is a 9mm Parabellum. The magazines are different. The frame has been modified, okay, with a block in it, so as to take a narrower magazine. The 9mm magazines are actually different magazines. In some of the Chinese 9mm variants, they use a full-size magazine with the block in the magazine, which makes it really easy to convert calibers. Nonetheless, using those magazines, the Chinese magazines, you can... Let me rephrase that. You can't use the Chinese magazines. Nonetheless, using these magazines, you can insert a block into the rear of your magazine well, and it'll work just fine. there is a way to use the Chinese magazines. However, it involves actually grinding off some of your material here, making your grip shorter. So, not going to get into that right now. These grips cover the rear much more extensively. So if you do want to remove the manual safety from a standard import Tokarev, the custom grips will cover the hole. Just want you to see that. I think that's pretty cool. That's about it. As far as the wooden grips go, I like them. They're available. That's it. In 9mm, these things shoot like a dream. You would not believe it. They are being imported currently by Zastava Arms. They're still being made. They're great. They're fantastic. They're cheap. Okay, I was getting them at $230. I think they're up to like $300. If you want a single stack, boring, no performance, they're very reliable guns. This one itself has over 8,000 rounds through it that I have done testing on, and it just keeps running. Holsters are available. This is one of the ones that we make, but they're pretty easy to find. Here we have the trigger dongle version. So let's take that apart. I have cleared all these weapons for doing the demonstration, so I'm a little loose because I'm in the shop working on the bench. I have a method for this, but there's your empty chamber, there's your empty bolt face, there's your empty magazine well. Take it apart. Pop your E-clip. Alright, we're going to set this aside because we don't really need it. This is your fire control group. We're going to set that aside also. Now the grips are a little interesting on this, okay? The grips do not have bolts. They have hinge pins inside. That's your first one. See that pin, or that hinge right there? That pinned thing. When it's like this, you can put the grip on, and then you do it like that, and it goes over the edge and holds onto the metal. It's an interesting system. And then the other side works slightly differently because you have to have access from inside the pistol to do that one. Interesting. This is your trigger bar here. This is your trigger assembly. And the reason you can't pull it back right now is because there is a magazine safety. And that magazine safety, when a magazine is inserted, this little spring part here that you can't see because this video is not going to show it to you very well, moves. Hang on, let me get it so that you can see it. I think I can do that with the screwdriver better. See, it pops out to the side, okay? And then your trigger bar will move. That's it. That is your magazine safety. I remove these habitually. I think it improves the trigger pull. I like it without, so that's the deal. Up to you. Not recommending it. Magazine safety is not a core functional safety, but it's a doctrine safety. It depends on your doctrine. If you like it, keep it. That right there, that is your, it's still hard to see on the video. That is your baby right there. Okay? That's it. That's really all there is to this. Don't mess with this unless you want to, and you know what you're doing. Let's go ahead and put these back on. These are available, custom grips of all sorts. You can grind this off just fine. It's not a big deal. I usually maintain my lanyard loops because I actually have used them in the past. Put your grips back on. Right side up. I only took this back out because sometimes they fall. That's the only reason. Slide it back a little bit. Slide catch in. E-clip. And you're ready to go. Very simple, very basic. Okay, operation. Rack the slide, pull the trigger. That's it. Okay, sight picture's pretty good. A lot of people notice that they seem to shoot low with the stock sights, and they do if you're doing a 6 o'clock hold. Not hard to fix, not hard to adjust. That's it. Once again, there's a 9mm version, and there's parts compatibility between these. You can take this and put this on here. So if you have one slide and you find the parts, you'll need a new bushing. Okay, you see the difference in the bushing and barrel, and then you need to figure out your magazines. That's all there is to switching between 9mm and 7.62x25. So potentially in the future, that might be an advantage. Right now it's easier just to have one of each. It's still less than a Glock. That's it. We're good to go. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I prefer the M57 despite the magazine cost. However, this is definitely on the easy to conceal side of things. The shorter grip does actually help. And cheap magazines. Much cheaper magazines. That's all. Have a good one, and stay safe.